Hello, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a fall makeup routine for fair skin. I get very dark in the summer and very white in the winter, so today is going to be a makeup routine with products I'm currently using, and if you're even whiter than I am, then just stick around because as the season gets more wintry, get more into winter, my skin's going to keep getting lighter. And if you have darker skin than me, if you're darker and tan, then stick around for summer because it gets very dark in the summer. So anyway, let's just jump into it because I'm talking too much. So to start, I really like this e.l.f. primer. I'm going to insert screenshots of all the products that I'm using so that you know exactly what I'm using. So I'll just kind of rub that between my fingers, pat it all over the skin, and slightly kind of smooth it over. Then before I do foundation or concealer, I mean this is kind of a concealer, but I will go in and just brighten up areas that I want to bring a little light to, which is really just this area right here, a little bit on the nose, and just kind of right here on the chin. Just because for me, my nose, I have a very straight nose. It kind of sits back a little bit right here, so my forehead, and it kind of dips in right here and then sticks out. And that's not like a bad thing, but I personally like to try and bring this forward a little bit. I wish it was just kind of all like a flat, even, I don't know. So I like to bring this forward. So I just will just lighten up this area a little bit at the beginning. So just grab my fingers together so that it will help melt the product in. And then using the ring fingers, I'm just gonna lightly tap that in. And a little up the forehead, a little bit down the nose, just because I don't like concentrating a ton of product. You'll learn about me very quickly. I like a very seamless, blended look. So I will definitely spread the product out if need be, so it's not overly concentrated in one area. Okay, so like that, already like a lot better. It just brings light to those areas. So then for foundation, I'm actually mixing two. I'm using the Revlon Color Stay. This is the combination to oily skin formula. I actually prefer the normal to dry formula, but I actually bought the wrong one. So that's the one I have to kind of do it up a little bit and to get a better shade because the shade is too dark for me right now. This is the shade Buff. I'm gonna mix it with the Miss AOA satin, buildable satin foundation. And again, I'm gonna insert screenshots of these. And then just to help it be a little bit dewy, I like to mix in the L'Oreal Beach Bay Face and Body Luminizer. It looks pretty brown, but it actually works really well to mix in. It doesn't like change the color of my product. It just makes it so that it's a little shinier, a little more dewy, because I like a more glowy, dewy satin kind of look. I do not like matte. So I'm gonna take about a half pump of the Revlon foundation, and then I take the Miss AOA foundation. This is the shade Porcelain, and I think it's the lightest shade that they have. And I will just take a full dropper and squeeze the whole dropper out. So again, about a half a pump to a pump of the Beach Bay, half pump of the Revlon, and then a full dropper of the Miss AOA. I'll mix that all together with my fingers. And I am super scrappy. I just use my fingers to put this on. So I'll pat it on my cheeks, chin, forehead, and then down my neck. So disclaimer, I am someone who loves makeup. I've always been very interested in makeup. I think it's super fun. And I've loved watching YouTube videos as I've grown up to figure out different tips and tricks to do. But I am by no means a makeup artist or a makeup professional or expert or anything like that. So I'm not the best makeup brushes. I'm not familiar with a lot of them. Obviously I have the basics like eyeshadows and like powder brushes and stuff like that. And I've used foundation brushes and sponges before, but I just find I can get a look I'm happy with if I use my fingers, and that's just faster and easier for me, so just use my fingers. Anyway, just rubbing that in, blending it all over, smoothing it out. So I like a more like my skin but better kind of look, or maybe slightly glamorous, but I'm not going for like a completely full coverage look. I'm okay with some of my skin underneath popping through. Like I've got like a little freckle beauty mark thing over here that I really like, and actually I'll even like take a baby wipe and kind of wipe that off, like any makeup off that later. But I'm okay with some of my skin underneath coming through, and I find if I use my fingers, I can sheer out the foundation just enough, or I can pat on coverage. My fingers work for me, so I'm pretty scrappy. So if you like being kind of scrappy and budget friendly, then definitely hit that subscribe button because you'll get a lot of that from me. And I actually don't have a concealer right now that is light enough for me, so I actually just found this old foundation stick that I have. It's the Maybelline Superstay foundation stick in the shade Fair Porcelain, and I will just scrape out a little bit, take it on my ring fingers, rub it to kind of warm up the product, melt it down a little bit, make it a little more creamier. And then I'll kind of hit that area again, just here on that corner, the nose, and then the chin. So that's one place I'll put it. And then again, when I blend it, I'm going to just kind of blend all the product out so it's very smooth, seamless, and I'm spraying the product around. Because again, so I'll end up connecting these, but I find I don't like putting a full swipe of product right there because then it's just too much product for me. I don't like to overdo it on the product. So I'll blend the nose out onto my upper lip, all over the under eye, kind of bring it up here a little bit just to help highlight the top of the cheekbones a little bit. And I'll spread up into my forehead just a little bit, not a lot. Okay, just like that. So we have our base, very white blank canvas. So we need to bring some dimension back into the face. So normally this is the part where a lot of people will powder, but I actually like to do my contour and my bronzer and blush, all that, before I do my powdering, because as I've said a million times, I like a blended seamless look. So I find if I do those things first and then finish the powder, it can blend it all together, so it kind of just looks like it's glowing coming from within, and I love that look. I'm just taking a baby wipe real quick and wiping the foundation off my hands because I don't like having makeup all over my hands and I don't want to get up to go wash my hands. Okay, so then I'm going to take the Maybelline Fit Me powder. This is just their matte and poreless. It's supposed to be like a face powder, but this is in the shade Java. I use this for my contour. So before I do that, I will just take the brush that I used the day before, whatever product's left over on it, and I will just sweep it around like kind of this area. Just to bring a little bit of that dimension back, but I don't use too much because again, I'm very fair skinned right now, so I'm not trying to make my face look muddy. So that's why I don't put any product on it. I'm just doing this quick swipe across the nose with whatever was left over from it yesterday. And then again, super subtle. You can barely really tell a difference, but it's just enough that it's gonna help. I will say this shade is a little bit dark for fair skin. So you have to be a little more careful with it, but this is what I have in the summertime, works great, and I can transition it into fall if I'm just use a lighter hand. So this is the Real Techniques. I think it's like one of their basic powder brushes, the orange one. I use this for my contour because I don't have an actual contour brush. I find this works just fine for me. All I do is I just kind of pinch it where I need it, and then I'm gonna place the product. So I like to place my contour from outer corner of my eye up to like the top right here, like this top line of my ear. That's where I'll just keep from here to here. And I'll just I'll suck in my cheeks, but I'm not going to put the product there. That just helps me see where exactly I should put this line. Okay, so I'm just going to start with drawing the line on. So it's pretty warm. So again, it's not the ideal contour shade right now, but it works, especially once you put the powders and stuff on top. It's all going to come together. So that's why I just like getting the shade, because it's one I can use in the summer and I can make it work for me in the winter. But I will look for a better contour shade for fair skin and in a future video I'll show that. I pretty much never buy contour products. I find that they're more expensive for the amount of product you get than I want. So I usually will look for like an eyeshadow or a face powder. Again, a lot harder to do in the winter, so maybe I will film like a contour routine with like finding a perfect shade for fair skin, but this is one that works for fair skin, so I'm using this for now. So I'm not super blending those out yet, I'm just placing the product for now. And I'll go on the top of my forehead. Again, just trust the process. Right now it's looking kind of muddy and like, well, what are you doing? Because it looks a little choppy. Might even look a little too warm. But once we put the powder on top of everything, it helps bring everything together, I promise. So just bear with me here. So anyway, I will blend it. Hello. I will blend it pretty well on the forehead. I don't know why. I like to place it on the cheeks first and then blend it out last on my cheeks. I don't know why, but that's just how I do it. So do the forehead and then my jawline. And I will do the whole jawline, staying underneath it. You don't want to be on the jaw because I don't want to look like I've got a beard or anything. I ain't about that look. So just staying underneath it. I will even come up right in front of the ear and go and just bring it here just a little bit, so that when I'm facing the front, it just kind of helps shave these sides in just a little bit. Again, it's nothing drastic, but just a little touch just helps it out a little bit. And then I'll blend it down the sides of the neck. And again, there's not really much like product left on here at this point, so it's not like I'm trying to place a dark contour here, but just blending it out so you don't have any harsh lines. Blending out the cheeks. So blending out the cheeks, I just move the brush side to side and do upward strokes. I'm not trying to bring it down because I don't want to drag my face down. So side to side, and up a little bit. And the other nice thing about doing your contour and everything before the powder is you don't have to really blend everything perfectly, because putting the powder on top of everything is going to help with that, help kind of clean things up a little bit. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just, as long as you have the basic gist. The one thing I will say is you want to put on a little bit more product than you would if you're putting on after, because since putting the powder on it, it's going to cover some of it up. So this is probably about what I would want it to look like, maybe a little bit darker, but I'm going to go in and I'm just going to darken up just a little bit more, because once you put that powder on top, it's going to cover a lot of this. Okay, and then last area I'm going to contour is just my nose, and I don't do like a big crazy contour. I'm literally just going to go underneath my nose like this. Just underneath that. Because I used to contour the heck out of my nose. I had really bad body dysmorphia in high school, and I just saw myself as a completely different person and saw my features very differently than other people. So I would contour my nose like crazy, and I am so grateful I'm over that phase. I've learned to be happy with my nose, realize there's actually not really anything wrong with it, and just be happy with it. The only thing is, sometimes when I like smiling, especially to the side, my nose kind of comes down more than I would like. Nothing wrong with that. I just personally wish it would go up a little bit, so I'm just gonna, I just put that contour there, right underneath the tip, and it'll kind of brush up a little bit, just to help bring my nose up cute, you know? I don't know. That's what I like to do. Then I'm gonna do blush. I'm using this Jane Iredale brush I got when I was in school. I think it's like their dome brush. Again, I'm really not like picky about brushes. I'm not great with brushes. I don't really care much about brushes. Like, I know I should, but it's just not something I've ever like invested my time or money into like figuring out brushes and what works for me. I just kind of use what I have, and it's worked for me this far. And then I'm going to take this Lancome blush. I don't typically buy high-end products. Like, I pretty much never do. This was given to me by my grandma. She was just getting rid of some makeup she had, and she gave it to me. It's a really pretty color, so I use it. I do have a couple other high-end products I'll use, but for the most part, I really am just drugstore. Like, the only time I've tried high-end products, it was really like by accident, because like someone gave it to me, like my grandma gave me this, or my mom gave me the NARS. I think it's the Radiant Creamy Concealer. I think so. It's this one. This concealer. I really like it. This one's too dark for me now. This is, because I'm pretty fair right now. But my mom had bought the wrong shade on accident. She gave me that one. I really like that. That's something I would purchase again. I haven't taken the time to splurge on it because it is expensive. But that is one I would buy again. And then the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, which I'll assume you use later, is another high-end product I will use. But otherwise, I don't really use high-end products that much. Sorry, it is like hail and raining outside, so if you can hear that, sorry. Hopefully you enjoy the sound of hail and rain like I do. But anyway, so this is the color. It's just a really pretty natural blush. But I'm gonna take some of my product and I'm gonna keep it, the bulk of the product here, again, kind of on the outer part of the eye, right here on the very apple of the cheekbone. And then I'm gonna slightly blend it out to the outside, just so it's not all right here. I don't want I'm not trying to look like a clown. I don't want like a little circle there. Circular motions, blend it up a little bit, keeping the bulk of the color down here, but swirling it up. And again, you're going to use a little bit more than you would, because some of this is going to get covered up by the powder. And then I'll just kind of take what's left on the brush and go along forehead and temples, and then quickly swipe it right there. I guess it wasn't like super quick, but like with a very light hand. So you can't even really barely tell that I put color there, but it just helps everything come together. Okay, so like that. Again, I will say this is not how I would want my makeup to look. This is why we're doing the powder now, to blend everything together now. So I'm just taking this, I mean, I literally just, see, I'm super scrappy. This thing broke. This is just the LA Colors. This is an LA Colors powder. It's literally like $2 and I get it at Dollar General. It's the shade Nude, but it's a really good powder. I like it a lot and it's $2. So I'll just take some of my product. This is another Real Techniques powder brush. I don't know the difference between the two powder brushes, which one's which, but this one's pink, the other one's orange. So then I will just go underneath my eyes, forehead, nose, chin. I'm just kind of patting it on for now. And then I'm going to go through and start swirling and blending. I don't know about you guys, but I love like rain and snow and hail and cloudy days. I just love it. So today I live in Utah, so today here it's cloudy and we've got hail and rain and I just love it. I'm super excited about it. And don't forget to do the jawline, because again, we put product on there too. So you don't want that to be like awkwardly muddy looking and brown and looking like you have a beard, because I don't think that's the look that most of us are going for. Anyway, so as you can see, putting the powder on top just blended everything together. Sorry, I'm looking in the cameras because I'm making sure I did really blend everything together. But anyway, so that's how I make it so that it looks all blended together, glowing from within, peeking through. I like that look a lot. So that's what we have. So now I'm gonna take another baby wipe and I'm just gonna wipe the makeup off of my eyebrow. Just, you know, getting my finger in there so I can just target the eyebrow without rubbing the foundation off the skin. And then I'm gonna wipe it off of my lips. And then I will also go into the lash line because I want to get the powder and foundation off of there, because I'm going to want to be darkening that area up later, not trying to make it lighter. And then last, I will just wipe it off of my hairline. And don't skip this step if you do your makeup the way that I'm doing it, where you put the powder kind of all over the place. Because I made the mistake, my high school senior pictures, you can totally see a bunch of makeup in my hairline. And I will say, I really like my high school senior pictures. I thought they were really pretty. I felt really pretty. I liked how they turned out. But the only thing is I look back now and you can just see all this like makeup in my hairline. She's like, oh, Audrey, like, if only you would just like wipe that off. And I will say it's a lot worse. Like right now, I can't really see much of my hairline because it was just the powder. I think for my senior pictures, like I literally had like foundation up in my hairline, and I'll see if I can find a picture of my, I'll find a picture of my senior pictures and insert one so you can see what I'm talking about. So you are inspired to not skip this step. Wipe the makeup off of your hairline. And as I mentioned earlier, I really like this freckle / beauty marker that I have. So I'll just kind of wipe the makeup off that just so that that's not covered. Okay, so after wiping the makeup off of my lips, they get pretty dry, so I'm just putting on some gloss. Now we're gonna do our brows. This is the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim. This is the shade Black Brown. So I'm just gonna comb through with the spoolie. And I love that this pencil is really, really skinny. Like, it's really skinny. So you get a much more natural look. For this, I'm gonna go ahead and use my mirror so I can get a little closer and see better. But basically the way I like to do my brows is I don't like a super carved out, perfect square, you know? I like my brows to look more natural. So I basically just do this just so I can fill in the space. They're a little sparse where I used to way over wax, and then so I can just darken things up a little bit. Okay, I'll try and keep the mirror low though so you can still see what I'm doing. So my nose is like really itchy. I hate that when you like finish your foundation or concealer and then all of a sudden your nose is super itchy. Ah, hate it. Anyway, so I'm gonna try and keep the makeup or the mirror down here so I'm not blocking. But I'm just gonna go through. I keep it in the center of the brow because if I go from like top, if I draw a line from like top to bottom, then I end up with these really like boxy, bushy brows, like in a bad way that I don't want. So I basically just draw the line in the center because I'm gonna end up combing through everything. The only area that I will go from top to bottom of the brow is just the inner corner, just because on me it's really sparse. Again, just from where I used to way over wax it. And then starting at that middle and then coming out to the edge. And the edge, since it's also very sparse, I will kind of do strokes up and down because again, I'm just going to blending this all out. I'm going to end up rubbing / blending this all out with the spoolie. So right now I'm just kind of getting color down. Like that. And then I just take the spoolie I will very generously rub it in. Like I'm literally like kind of scraping the skin a little bit as I'm just trying to spread this product out so it's not choppy looking and fills in all those spaces I need it to without looking overly thick and bushy. Or perfectly drawn on, because again, I don't like that look. I want to be a little bit more natural. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love like glam makeup looks and stuff. It's not like I'm always looking natural, but my brows I definitely prefer to always keep natural. But today's kind of a more simple, easy day-to-day makeup look, but I definitely have fun with like some glamour looks sometimes. And then just last step, I will wipe my finger along the edges, just because I've noticed this happens to me a lot. I don't know if it happens to you guys, but it happens to me a lot where I will I'll like be done with my brows, I think they look great, and then I'm like out about my day and I take a picture at some point and I'm like, like what happened? Like my brows will look so like bushy. So I think it's when I don't do this step, just because sometimes for me blending it, the product like a hint of it goes into the edges more than it should, and then it just makes it look really bushy and not good. So I will just do that real quick to make sure that it's not too much. Okay, I'm just gonna do the other brow real quick. Okay, now I'm done with this brow. I noticed I made it just a little bit darker than this one, so I'm just gonna darken this one up just a little bit. So I'm gonna take the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. This is just the original formula, and I'm pretty sure I just said Potion. Oh well. So just putting that on the lid, up the brow bone, and then just gonna blend that with my fingers. Okay, and this is a super easy to follow simple tutorial because I'm literally just using 2 eyeshadows. I'm going to be using this Smoke and Roses Colourpop palette. It's a really, really pretty palette. I really like it. One of my friends gave it to me for Christmas last year. I'm just going to be taking the shades Twin Flame and On Call, and I'm really basically just using Twin Flame. On Call is just like the little highlighter shade we're going to use. I'm just taking a basic eyeshadow brush. I got this from Miss AOA, so it's an AOA Studio brush, number E123. I'm just going to take some of that product and I'm just going to put it just on my eyelids. So I have hooded eyelids. It's hard to tell when I'm talking because I'm a very expressive person, so I usually like talk with my eyebrows up. But like in day-to-day life, I have RBF really bad because like I've got hooded eyes and my mouth naturally curves down. So if I'm just like staring, it's just like I look so like grumpy or like I'm sad about something. And I would get that a lot, like in high school or even now, people will be like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. It's just my face." Like, so thankfully I'm a pretty happy person. Like I'm naturally a very outgoing, bubbly, happy person, but my face said otherwise. So it's a good thing I talk a lot and I'm a very expressive person because it helps with my RBF. Anyway, so because I have hooded eyes, I know that the way a lot of people do their makeup is do like the shade like in the center and then darker on the outer corner and the darkest like in the very outer corner, and that's great, I'll use it sometimes, but sometimes I don't love how that makes my eye look when I go into the crease. So right now I'm literally just gonna keep this on the lid, even though it's funny because you would think like, well, what's the point? Because if it's hooded, it covers it. I can't describe it. There's just something about the way I do my makeup this way that I like it. It works for me. So I'm taking that eyeshadow and I'm just gonna pop it on just the lid. So this shade is really pretty for fall. It's kind of like a coppery brown color. So I can't remember if I was mentioning in the beginning or not, but I find with fair skin, it's hard to do warm makeup looks without it looking like sickly almost. And maybe that's just my personal opinion. I just, when I'm like tan, when I'm really dark, then yeah, I love playing with like oranges and coppers and bronze colors. But when I am fair skin, I find it makes me look pretty sickly. I have a hard time playing with those colors. So I will try and keep it to not a super orange color. This one is actually coming out a little more orange than I remember it. But I try to not do overly warm fall makeup looks because for my skin, it just doesn't work when I'm fair. Anyway, so all over the lid, gonna do the same thing on the other lid. I'm not necessarily going into the crease, I'm just bringing it up to where the lid and the crease meet. I'm now just taking a clean blending brush. This is the Wet n Wild eyeshadow blending brush. There's no product on it. And I'm just going to blend this just where the lid and the crease meet. So I guess a little bit of the product is going into the crease just from doing this, but it's not the intent. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not bringing product into the crease. I'm just trying to smooth out this line so you don't have like this harsh, choppy, weird line on your eyelid. Okay, so just like that. And then I take that same brush because it's very dense, thick bristles that keep their shape really well. And I'm just taking that exact same shade, Twin Flame, and I'm just putting it on my lower lash line slash lid area. Okay. Now I'll just take that blending brush again and just quickly go kind of over the lower lash line, up a little bit. Just like that. And then I will take my eyeliner. I'm using the Allegro Ultimate Intense Day Auto Liner. I really like this eyeliner. This is the shade Ultimate Black. And I'm just going to be putting it on my upper waterline and kind of pushing it up into the lash line just a little bit. I don't like putting eyeliner on the lid with hooded eyes because then it kind of closes off the whole look. But again, I will just put it on my waterline and try to blend it up a little bit into the base of the lash line. And I do plan at some point to film a video where I'm going more in depth on the eyes. I just don't have a way to do like a good close up of my eyes. Like I'm literally just using my iPhone to film since I'm really new to all this. So eventually I will get better equipment and I can have a way to better do a close up of the eye so I can really show you what I'm doing. Because I really like the way I do my mascara, and a lot of people ask me if I have false lashes, and I don't. I never wear false lashes. It's just mascara, so I won't be able to show you guys how I do that. But I need better equipment before I can do that. So at some point I will show a more in-depth eye routine. So I'm sorry I'm not able to kind of give you that right now. And yes, I make the weird faces. I don't know how you don't. Like if you've mastered that, like congratulations. But when I'm doing like my eyeliner mascara, it's always like the wide open mouth or the crazy eyes. I don't know how to not do it. So I'll just go from the inner corner to the outer corner. And I don't drag it out on purpose. You can see when I close my eyes, it comes out a little bit. That's just with my eye shape is. When I do it from inner corner to outer corner, it will just naturally kind of smudge up there a little bit. Not really smudge, but when I'm drawing the line, I will just go up there and not even realize it. Like, anyway, that just happens. So I'm not, just follow your line, follow your lash line from inner corner to outer corner, and whatever happens, happens. Okay, so I just lined them. And in the summer, I would go in and set this with an eyeshadow powder, just kind of pat on the eyeliner. But in the winter, I don't find this really necessary. This eyeliner is really good. So again, in the summer, I have really oily eyelids, so it's kind of hard to avoid that. Like this eyeliner smudging a little bit, so I've got to use the powder. But in the winter, this eyeliner works really well. I don't find I really need to powder it. The next eyeshadow, we're just going to take this really skinny eyeshadow brush. This is one I got also when I was in school. This is a Jane Iredale brush. I don't know which one, but it's a Jane Iredale brush. And I'm just going to take that shade On Call. And I'm just going to pop that in the inner corner. And with my hood, I'm just kind of bringing the highlight where you can see lid right there. And then bring it about as far as I was able to bring on the top lid, on the lower lid. And again, I will kind of let my eyes rest how I do for this step on purpose. Because if I go like this, then I'm going to put it where I don't need it. And last step before mascara, I'm just going to take a highlight. This is, I honestly have never heard this brand before. It's like Love You First or something. I mean, that's broken and scrappy. I've had it for a long time. My parents put in my stocking for Christmas one year. So I'm not entirely sure where they got it, but I'll try and find it and link it below. I'll try and link everything below. If I can find everything, anything I can find, I'm going to link it below. And if you're curious, I mean, my top is from Walmart and I got it there years ago, so I don't think they have it anymore. I apologize. But, yeah, this is from Walmart. And I'm just going to take the lightest pinky shade and swirl it in with the gold for fall. Mix those two together, pat off, and then I'm just going to put on the top of my cheekbones. And then upper brow. And then I will put it right in that center because like I said in the beginning, I like to try and bring this forward a little bit. So, and once I place all the product down, I'll just kind of lightly blend it a little bit. Okay, just like that. Then I will take my powder brush and I will just swipe under my eyes real quick just in case there was any eyeshadow fallout. And like I said, I will film a more in-depth tutorial on my eyes and how I get my mascara to make my eyes look like falsies. But tip one is I always use at least 2 mascaras. I never just use one. I really like Maybelline mascaras. They, I think, make my eyes look the best, how I want them to look. So I'm using the Full and Soft mascara. This is the waterproof kind, and I always wear waterproof mascara because, one, I've got the oily lids, but also I'm kind of an emotional girl. I never know when I'm gonna start crying. So I have to wear waterproof just to play it safe, because I never know when I'm gonna have a moment. So I always wear waterproof, but I do use coconut oil to take off my makeup, and it works really well. So obviously, since it is waterproof, you're gonna have to work it in a little bit more, but the coconut oil works really well. So if you feel the need for waterproof but have a hard time taking it off, try coconut oil and see if that helps you. And anyway, and then I'm also using my personal holy grail mascara, which is the Maybelline Total Temptation. So I'm gonna start with the Full and Soft. It's my first base, since that's the one that's like has really, really good staying power and not running. And my goal with this first layer is I'm not trying to build anything up yet. I'm just trying to cover all of the lashes. So I'm just kind of going from base to tip, blinking a little bit here and there. Just making sure the product is getting all over. Okay, so I'm going in with that second coat. And this is when I'll start to build it up a little bit more. But again, I'm essentially just doing the same technique the whole time. But for this one, I might focus a little bit more at the base and more slowly drag it up while wiggling the brush a little bit on the way. And then for me personally, my lower lashes are really long and I don't love it when I put mascara all over them. It just makes my eyes look kind of interesting. So I will just put the wand right in like the base of the lash and just kind of blink while it's sitting on top of the lower lash line, just so that it gets on the very base, just on the lashes and not really on, well, just on the lash line, not really on the actual lashes or down the length of the lashes anyway, so I don't have like the, I mean, sometimes I'll do it for fun because I'm like, you know what, okay, I own my long lashes and just go for it, but it's just not my favorite look, so I don't usually do that. Okay, and then I'll take the Maybelline Total Temptation and finish it off with this. And then for this, I'm doing the same thing, just keeping at the base, wiggling, blinking it up. But for this last step, I will really focus on like the center of my eye and the very, very outer corner. Okay, and then I'll basically just apply layers until I'm happy with how it looks. Right now I'm happy with how it looks, so we're gonna call it good there. Okay, and finally, lastly, we're just gonna do the lips. I am taking the Revlon Color Stay Longwear lip liner in the shade Nude. And I don't always line my lips, but for the sake of this video, I will. And since I already have that gloss on, it's gonna be a pretty soft line. And I don't try to overly overdraw my lips. I mean, I will a little bit, but I'm not trying to go for like the look. I'm pretty happy with the size of my lips as they are. So I will overline maybe just a little bit. Like I basically will just draw right on the very edge of the line. So naturally some of it will bleed up a little bit, and that's enough for me. So I'm just gonna follow my lip line for this first pass. Like this. And I'll just kind of smile like this. Like trying to just kind of spread out my lips as much as possible. Like that kind of smile. And do it again. Just like that. And then just kind of lightly tap it in. And blend. So that the color kind of all over. I'll just take my fingertip on the edges anywhere I think the line's too sharp. Because again, I don't know. If I'm going for like a really bold, like a dark red lipstick, or when I'm wearing like black lipstick, then yes, I'm going to better line with the right color liner. But for a natural look, I'm not too worried about it. So for me personally, when my skin is really fair like this, I really like the contrast against like my dark eyes, my dark hair. I will say this lighting's making my hair look darker than it actually is. It's not really quite this dark. It almost looks black right now. It's not really that dark, but it's dark. So I like the contrast of like the dark hair, my dark eyes against my white skin. And then I like my favorite lip color to pair with that is like a rosy, pinky red kind of color. Obviously I love lipstick, so I'll wear like any color. I love wearing like a light natural shimmery pink or purples or like black and gray. Like I love lipstick, so I will wear anything and everything. But my go-to favorite thing, if I want to like just make my lips pop and play with the contrast of like the light and dark on my face, I just like a rosy, pinky red color. So I haven't found my perfect shade for that yet. And I know there's a ton of those kinds of shades out there. I'm just really picky about it, I guess. So I'll just kind of make my own shade. So I'm just taking like a really bright red lipstick, and I apologize, I don't know what this lipstick is. I've had this for a long time. I don't know where I got it. I don't know. And I promise I'm not going to do that very much on my channel, because it does drive me nuts when YouTubers use a bunch of products that they can't tell you where they actually got it from. So I will not do that very often. Just every now and again. This is the red lipstick I happen to have right now, but really it's just like a classic bright cherry red lipstick. So just find whatever bright cherry red lipstick you like, and all I'm gonna do is just tap it on my lips. I'm not trying to like put a swipe of red on, I'm just tapping it to get like that tint. So literally just like that. Can barely tell the difference. So on the outer corners, and you can leave it just like this, like it's really pretty just like this. I like to introduce a little bit more pink back into it. So I'm taking, this is a CoverGirl lipstick. The color is rubbed off, but I will try and find it and link it below. And I'm using slightly less of the pink shade than I was of the red. And mainly more just keeping it in the center of the lips. Like that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a fan of the matte look. I really like glossy, dewy, juicy for everything. Like I don't want matte. So same with my lips. But since I put that gloss on before I did the lips, like they already look pretty glossy, but I will still always pretty much finish off with the gloss. So I'm just gonna finish off with this. It's a Rimmel, I think it's a Stay Glossy, in the color Nonstop Glamour. So I'm just gonna take that and same thing, just kind of pop in the center. Just like that. And that's the finished look. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry, it was a little chaotic again. I'm learning, so lighting kind of messed up. Audio is probably a little weird. I'm figuring out as I go. But I hope you'll join me on my little journey as I'm just sharing things that I like on my channel. I plan to really have this be like just a kind of beauty lifestyle kind of channel. So I'll share makeup tips and tricks. I'll do hair videos, outfits, craft ideas, just like, you know, lifestyle stuff that I like. My next video I plan on doing is going to be a kind of like a Thanksgiving dinner, family dinner, fall outfits idea. So if you're interested in that, then please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I upload it. For now, I plan on making videos once a week and uploading them, I think, on Thursdays. That obviously could change, but for now, that's the plan. So if you're interested, then please stick around for more. Thanks so much again for watching, and I hope you have a fabulous day.